Good day, everyone, and welcome to Pep Talks, a patient experience podcast where we share stories of promise, our culture of connection and care. In this podcast, we'll hear from Rick Salomone, a prostate cancer survivor and patient advisor in our Patient and Family Advisory Program. Rick shares with us that he had some critical decisions to make concerning his care, and how grateful he was for the support and respect of his Moffitt team, who empowered him to choose a treatment path that aligned with his beliefs, his priorities, and his lifestyle. And ultimately, the level of care and connection he felt from all team members gave him the strength to persevere through many challenging moments in his cancer treatment.
My name is Rick Salomone. I'm 69 years old. I am a father of 3 grown children and 5 beautiful grandchildren, and a loving husband and my sweetheart, Carol, for the past 28 years. If I was to define myself, I guess I would say, first and foremost, defined by my faith and my family and my friends. And all 3 were integral components on how I dealt with the diagnosis of prostate cancer, the treatment, and the after effects. And then as I look back on the triggers that helped me through my treatments, I really drew on my athletic experience. So I was a college athlete in basketball and baseball. Things about visualization, about preparation, about taking it one day at a time and one at bat at a time and one inning at a time and one shot at a time. So I kind of went back to my roots and say, stay in the present, stay in the moment, just get through the next day, and then get through the next day. Get yourself a routine, calm your mind, your spirit, your body. Those things helped me tremendously. I have a wonderful GP in Sarasota that has been seeing me annually for 12 years. So about 2 years prior to 2023, he started to see an elevation in my PSA. And in January of 2023, it hit 7.2. And the good doctor said, that's it, I've heard enough excuses. Go see the urologist and get this thing checked out. He noticed several spots in the MRI, and he suggested we do a biopsy as soon as we could. So we sit with the doctor, and he says, yep, 8 of the 13 cells that we biopsied were cancerous. And here's a card. Call Dr. So-and-so, and he can take care of that for radiation. Now I'm thinking to myself, you just told me I had cancer, and this is a minute conversation. And being Italian, we never like to let somebody get the last word in. So I said to him, well, why would I go locally when I could go to Moffitt? He's like, why would you drive all the way up to Moffitt? I said, well, a decade prior, my wife had 2 breast cancer surgeries here at Moffitt, chemo and radiation. And I saw that patient care model, and I believe everything they tell me at Moffitt because I've seen it in action. It's just not a nice website and a bunch of words. They put that brand promise to action. So I got the diagnosis that I had prostate cancer in mid-Feb, right? I was angry, scared, fearful for the first day until I got into the research. And my first appointment here at Moffitt was March 11th. After about 30 minutes, Dr. Palsang knew I really wasn't excited about doing surgery. He passed me on to Catherine Tyree and then to Dr. Yamoa. First of all, the engagement of Dr. Yamoa was amazing. The contact, the conversational tone, the empathetic tone was amazing to me, having experienced a lot of surgeons for athletic surgeries. And then I see a person who is a radiation oncologist, head of a department, spending so much time with Carol and I answering all our questions. I'm thinking to myself, wow, we hit a home run. And Moffitt hit a home run. And so we had this, wonderful between KT and Dr. Yamoa, almost an hour of going through all the different treatments. And then towards the end, he threw me what I thought was a curveball and said, okay, we're going to do 26 radiation treatments, but I suggest we do hormone therapy in conjunction with the radiation treatments. And I'm like, wow, you just hit me with a ton of bricks, doctor. I'm going to have to think about this one. But I said I would spend a week, because I was going to come back the following Wednesday, and I would, research it. After about 3 days of research and talking to some friends, I wasn't able to come to the conclusion that hormone therapy for me would be the right way to go. I guess how I learned to take control is kind of my business background. You're talking about my life. I'm going to own it. I'm going to own the decision-making process. And so we made the decision with our eyes wide open, and we trust in God's plan. So whatever happens, happens. I'm getting the best treatment. KT, Catherine Tyree, she's what I call my guardian angel now, because from the first moment Carol and I set eyes on KT, she just lights up a room. So no matter how stressed you are, you see that smile and everything goes away for that meeting. And she puts you at ease prior to meeting with Dr. Yamoa. And so I came back. I kind of gave KT a heads up when I made the decision, prior to going into the following Wednesday meeting with Dr. Yamoa, that I'm going to opt out of the hormone therapy. I know the risks. She listened empathetically. She didn't give me her opinion. She didn't say you're making a big mistake. She allowed me to make my decision. I felt like, wow, the first time as a patient that I really felt empowered to handle my own health care based on my beliefs, my priorities, what my lifestyle is like. And so I appreciated that. So I come into the following meeting with Dr. Yamoa, but I gave him my reasons. And I said, I'm pretty adamant. And he looked at me and he said, okay. And I was expecting an argument. I was expected to be talked down to, quite honestly, from a man as smart and as accomplished as Dr. Yamoa. And I got none of it. It's the opposite. I always thought, like for the first or second weekly meeting with Dr. Yamoa, that somehow he would hold that against me. But with Dr. Yamoa, I felt empowered that Carol and I could make a decision as a couple on what the best treatment was, that he laid out the facts. He gave me the pros and cons, honestly. We were just all in there as a team to get me the best possible outcome that any human being could deliver. And that's what made it special. So Jeremy is the concierge in the radiation departments. That's the first person you see. The moment you get your wristband and you walk through the doors and you see this young guy behind a desk or kneeling, talking to one of the patients, you realize it's kind of a special place. Wait a minute, this is a hospital. How do they have a concierge? How do they have this fine young guy working seamlessly through 28, 30 patients in a waiting room, dealing with all the individual severity of the health issues? I am an observer of people, and I just watched him work the room and just walk by. Obviously, patients that have been there a couple weeks, he knows them better. I'm new, so he immediately came and I explained to him, my long journey up, and I'm new to this, the prep and the timing of it, and I'm really anxious about that. He had such an empathetic ear. But after I went through the first 2 or 3 days with Jeremy, he kind of knew my rhythms. And I liken it to if you're out at your favorite restaurant, and you've got your favorite waiter or waitress, and they just know when to show up, right? They kind of disappear and let you enjoy the meal, and then all of a sudden when there's something you need, they're there magically. And that's how I kind of looked at Jeremy. The young man is a remarkable listener to people. He really gets a sense and can size up each individual's needs at the right time to deliver the best kind of care. And what best first impression for somebody that's anxious, nervous, and afraid to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the radiation table than to get soothed and calmed by Jeremy's care. He's got to have good days and bad days, but you never saw it. And when you're there in the sequence that I was 5 days a week for 5 weeks plus, there was no variance in his treatment of a patient. They all got the best treatment. So that's why, he immediately comes to mind when I think of Moffitt. Why do you think of Moffitt first? Jeremy's face lights up in my head. So you pass the first hurdle and you meet the angel, Jeremy, who's getting you, mind and body and spirit ready to go back behind the curtain and sit on the radiation table. And then a gentleman comes out and calls your name. The lesson that I learned with Sean is the outward appearance is nothing than the caring soul that's underneath the exterior. And the more I got to know Sean, he would always tell me a story to relax me, something he was doing in his personal life and his hobbies outside of Moffitt to relax me to get there. So I asked them in the radiation department, and Sean, could you just call out on the microphone? You got 5 more minutes left, or you got 8 in, or everything's good with the cameras. We're gonna start the radiation treatments. And they did that for the first 10 days, which then got me into a routine. Then I didn't need it anymore. But it was the individual attention and care that I got. It made you feel special. While he's got the pressure of keeping everything on schedule, on time, to add the empathy and the caring nature from him was special. It had an impact. And without him being as understanding, I'm not sure I would have made the 60-mile journey. I might have pulled the ripcord and tried radiation somewhere else. But he gave me the ammunition to get through it. When you're on a team that works seamlessly together. That reminds me of a couple times I watched people doing jobs in the course of my radiation treatment that day. It wasn't their job, but they knew somebody needed a hand and they just jumped in and did it. They didn't give it the old, it's not my job. They kind of crossed over and helped. And so that's for sure. And you really appreciate good teamwork that is seamless from each touch point through the organization. And that's what I would tell the Moffitt family is your promise is only as good as the first touch point, the last touch point with that patient. And we do realize, I certainly realize, that you have ups and downs and you have the routines of your daily work life. But if you come and treat every day as a new beginning at Moffitt, as an employee, as somebody who's fulfilling the Moffitt vision and promise, you'll take care of that individual the best possible way each and every moment. Just treat each new day as a new beginning and do it the way that you would like to be treated. I was always taught that events are neither positive or negative. It's how you respond to them that makes it positive or negative. I started my prostate cancer journey with hoping that I would have a positive outcome. I left with the belief that I got the best possible patient care.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you'll join us for our next episode of Pep Talks. Until then, keep living the promise.